Hello, and welcome to Palindrome ASMR. I am Zababez, and this is my show. Today, I have an announcement to make. I've stopped my daily upload schedule, which is because, I don't know. It's psychology, actually, but I'll make my announcement first. I started a Kickstarter project to turn one of my books into a manga. I have all the steps figured out. I know where to do it, where to publish it, etc., etc. And yeah, I've got this pretty much figured out. It's Dungeons and Diamonds. You see, I uploaded the PV to this channel. You can check that out. You can check out the Kickstarter project in the description below. And I doubt anyone will. Well, no. Let's play a psychology game. Forget I said that. And I am going to believe that people will fund my project because they want to see my book turned into a manga, which is kind of interesting because, yeah, it's very interesting. You can read the book if you want. Buy it on Amazon. It's probably going to be 99 cents or $2.99 or however much it's going to be cost on Amazon. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my announcement. And you can also buy my books as always. You can go to Wattpad and read them for free. You can do whatever. You know, check out my Kickstarter project because I would appreciate it if you did because I would appreciate that if you would check out my Kickstarter project. Check out my Kickstarter project. It's Dungeons and Diamonds. That's the name of the book. Turning it into a manga. It's going to be a short manga. It's not going to be very big or very long. It'll be pretty short. But the goal is pretty high because I'm hedging my costs so I don't run out of money midway and have to cut corners or something. The goal is $5,500 because I am expecting to pay in the vicinity of $80 to $100 per page, and with somewhere in the vicinity of 40 to 50 pages, plus all of this stuff that I need to, the printing, the distribution, the backing, etc., etc., etc. It's probably going to cost a lot of money. I'm pretty sure at the end of this, I'll actually probably have to dig into my own pockets to get this finished. But I'll make sure that doesn't have to happen, even if I have to cut corners. I don't know. Will I cut corners or will I spend my own money? One or the other, Anyways, back to psychology. Why I haven't been uploading as much. The reason why I haven't been uploading as much is because of my popularity. There is a psychological phenomenon where when people get what they want and succeed, they withhold. And this is subconscious. I can't do anything about it because making videos makes me feel very uncomfortable. Now that I know I have over 100 subscribers, which is not that many by YouTube standards, but it's a lot by my standards because, it means there are actual people who watch this stuff. And seeing my numbers go up triggers a reaction in me where I don't get the urge to produce. And so this is a tested phenomenon. You can research it. I don't know exactly what it's called, but you can research it. It's a phenomenon where when people succeed at what they want to do, they stop doing it because they're successful, and because they're afraid of doing better than everyone else. They're afraid of doing good. They're afraid of being good. And while I recognize my internal processes, I don't fight them because it makes me very uncomfortable, and I don't like that. So I'll continue to upload. It's just that you probably won't expect it to be as different. And of course, there's also the fact that the stuff that I really want to make, there's a wall between me and the stuff I want to make, and that wall is skill. The editing skill, editing and art skill. The stuff I really want to make are informational videos. Videos like analytical videos, informational videos, videos where I analyze things and I inform and you can probably tell that I'm very analytical and very informational, but I started another channel and actually did that kind of stuff, and the amount of effort it takes to produce a high quality analytical informational video is so steep and the action is so boring for me that there's a wall. I can't do it. I just can't do it because it's work for me. It's not fun, and I'm doing this for fun. I am not being paid for this, obviously, and the only motivation I have is the act of doing, not the anticipation of being good, but the very act of doing it. And as long as the act of doing stays fun, I will continue to do. That's how it works with my writing. I've written 7 books. None of them are published. None of them have any acclaim. I've sold 10 copies in total online. I've sold more copies than physical copies because it's easier to sell. It's easier to sell physical copies of books when you're at a book signing because you get to talk to the people, you make a connection, you say, do you like reading? You say, here's my book, you hand it to them. You play a little bit of a psychology game where you put the book in their hands, because once a person has a book in their hands, they're less likely to want to let go of it because they've done a study. There's a study about this, where what they did was they tried to sell stuff to someone. Number one, they presented the object and did not give it to them. They did not put it in their hands. And number two, they put the object in their hands. And the people who had the object in their hands overwhelmingly bought more. So that's the reasoning for why I take my books and I put them in people's hands and I say, take a look at it, read it. And that's probably the biggest seller of my books, is the fact that I use psychology against them. Because usually book signings are not very successful. Unless you're a big name author, book signings generally don't sell books. Which is a little bit counterintuitive because, well, you're selling your books, but generally, people aren't shopping for a specific book, generally, they're looking for a kind of book or a book that they like and something that catches their fancy, and it's very unlikely that any individual book will catch someone's fancy because there are so many of them. But if you play the salesman and talk up your book, it's more likely that your book will catch their fancy. Which is how I managed to sell out on my first book signing. Notably, I only had 20 books to sell in the first place, but maybe 25. But I did sell out on my first book signing, and I made some good money on my subsequent book signings, though they weren't as successful as my first, because during your first book signing, all of the people you know go and purchase books from you. So that's probably why I sold out so easily, is because all of the people I know purchase books. But in your subsequent book signings, the people you know are less likely to go and buy books just for the sake of buying books for you, because they're used to the idea of you being a bookseller, and they're not like, oh my gosh, he's written a book. It's like, oh yeah, that guy, he's written books. So, but I did make a decent amount of money, enough to really help me out. I don't know. I really don't know what I want with my books, why I write books, because personally I write because I find that my own stories are more interesting than the stories I read. I find myself unable to read books anymore because I find them very problematic and dull. Because my own writing has desensitized me to the actions inside of a book. Because writing is an intensely pleasurable thing for me. Like, when I first started writing, I actually experienced writer's high, which is to say, that story high you get when you watch a good story, When you watch a good movie or a good series and you're binging on that series or you're binging on books, that high, yeah, I got that from writing. And it was very good. It was like one of the best story experiences I've ever felt. The most connection I've ever had with characters were when I was writing my own characters, and I felt a connection with them. And I connected with them, and I was sad when they died. I killed them, and I planned to kill them, but I was still sad when they died. And it's it's a passion. It's like, okay, it's like spicy food. When you eat a lot of spicy food, stuff that you once thought was spicy no longer becomes spicy. It's not spicy anymore. And the same is true for me in books, or fiction books. Is number one, they're not spicy anymore because I've become desensitized to the spiciness of books, because my own stories, while they're not perfect, it's not like they're really good stories. It's the fact that they're my stories that makes them so appealing to me. They're mine, and it's not that I have control over them, but it's that they're characters that resonate with me. They're my characters, and they do the things that I want them to do, but not exactly what I want them to do, what I think they would do. They're characters that are alive inside of me. These characters, they live in me. And writing a book is not about people who will read it afterwards, though after the fact I say I want people to read this book because I want them to experience the same stuff I've experienced. The impetus for me writing these books is not to impress. It's not to get compliments. It's not to, well, it is kind of to make money because I want to make money. Money is a big thing for me. But the main reason why I write books is because it's fun. It's very fun. It's like I found my hobby. I found the hobby of choice of mine. This will stick with me for the rest of my life, and even if I never get published, I will continue to write and I will continue to do stories, because doing stories is fun. Because it's fun. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. No, I have been doing it for 3 years since I was. Yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years now, and during that time, I haven't spent a single month where I haven't written more than 30,000 words. Though, it's sometimes I get a little lag. I lag a little bit. I don't write stories for maybe like a couple of weeks, but then I head back and I just keep writing because of this writing high. I'm searching for this writing high, and my writing gets better. And I'm a very good writer. I am. I'm not going. This isn't like boasting. I'm not bragging. I'm very good at this. Is not neither is this boasting or bragging, but I'm very good at evaluating my own abilities. For example, I can say that I am not a good artist, but I can draw. There's a difference between being an artist and being able to draw. Because if I have an object in front of me and I have about 5 hours to spare where I don't feel like doing anything else, I can draw really well. No color, just pencil. Some of my pencil drawings that I did in high school are really good. Like they're actually surprisingly good. Like I did not know I had the capability to draw pencil erasers in such minute and fascinating detail. But when I go into the art side of things, where I start creating my own images, where I start to create my own visuals, like imagination visuals, that doesn't work so well. Because there is something missing in my mind where I can take what I see and put it to paper, but I can't take what I see in here and put it to paper on down there. Because I am a very logical, line by line, analytical thinker. I construct things. I don't draw things, I construct them. You see? And my methodology, my constructing methodology, does not work very well when combined with the free-form, imaginative world of art. If I do not have a template, I can't do it. And language is constructive. It's not books are constructive. Yeah, they're constructive. But No, not books. Writing is constructive, but stories are not. And I am a good, I don't know if I'm a good storyteller or not, but I know I am a good writer. I know my writing technique, like my flow, my composition, my pacing, all of that was good at the start and has only improved with practice and time. Because as you can tell, I'm a very well-spoken person, not well-spoken, but articulate person. And writing is all about being articulate. That's what writing is about. It is about being articulate. And I'm articulate. I've learned. At first, my writing was not very good, because when at first you start anything, it's never good. But the first story I ever wrote, no, the second story, the first one I really got into, I was like freaking Jesus Christ, man. If you've, like, it was like I was on drugs, okay? Like, the feeling writing gave me, this was probably a manifestation of my mania, which is a psychological illness I have. Mania, when you're manic, you feel like you're on drugs because the dopamine in your brain is going shh, and when you're manic, you feel like you're on drugs. But when I wrote my first story, it was only about 10,000 words long. I was like tweaking because of how powerful it felt. Like this powerful drug was injected in me when I wrote, and this feverish feeling of pleasure, like guttural, visceral, orgasmic pleasure. That kind of pleasure. Like the kind of pleasure you get from orgasm. Like that was literally what I felt. The first story I wrote, I literally orgasmed while I was writing. I didn't actually do that, but it was like the feeling, the same feeling you get when you eat sugar and when you go to McDonald's and you take a big bite of their hamburger. That kind of feeling, the feeling of dopamine rush. And even though that feeling has gone away over time due to the law of diminishing returns and to the fact that anything that gives you dopamine will always sort of you over time. But I still find a lot of enjoyment in the craft of writing, even though I don't get high off of it anymore. It's like, well, it's probably because of my medication, to be honest, because that's what my medication does. It reduces that manic high. And I bet you if I went off my medications, I would probably get high off of writing again. I would probably write so hard that I just went into a drug-induced stupor. Because that's honestly the feeling that writing gives me. It's very powerful. I feel like I found my life's hobby, not my life's calling. I don't want to do writing for a job. When I do writing for a job, I've learned this by experience. When I write for money, it's no longer fun. It's not fun when I write for money. Well, when I write, not because of the money part, but because of the expectations of others. When people expect my work to be good, I can't do it. I don't do very well with people expecting me to be good. I am naturally good at things. I naturally improve things. But when people are expecting a certain level of quality from me, it removes the element of fun from what I'm doing. It removes the fun when I know that I'm being held to a standard that is set in stone and can cost me money. Because if I'm not good enough, they'll cut me. But I learned that through ghostwriting romance novels. Maybe it was because romance isn't my thing. While I do understand how romance works, I'm not very romantic myself. Unless I get into it, and then I can become very romantic in a sort of overbearing. I get really involved in things, as you can probably tell through the fact that I've written 7 books, and I think a lot about things, and most people don't expect to have to put in this much work into a relationship, and I'm always the one who puts in much more work than the other party, because that's just how I am. When I'm really interested in something, I put a lot of work into it. When I'm interested in something, I put work into it. When I'm not interested in something, I avoid working, because it's like a trade-off, The ability to work really hard on things that I am interested in is traded off for the lack of ability to work really hard on things I am required to do but not interested in. What can I say? That's enough for today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to support me, my Kickstarter project, I'll put the link in the description. Do join my Kickstarter project. Check it out. You don't have to donate anything, but you can check it out and watch the PV and see if you... Check it out. Just check it out. I'll catch you on the other side, and thanks for watching. I tried to keep my tempo of voice a little bit... like my cadence. I'm working on that. I could talk like this, where I sort of voice fry over the microphone, but I'm trying something a little bit different. Where I talk faster and where I express my ideas in a quicker and more precise manner. That is all. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the other side. Probably not tomorrow, probably the next day. Maybe I'll upload tomorrow. If I feel like doing it, I'll do it.